Hey people, Anthony 4x4Diesel bedding in brakes. So if we just change the brakes, how do we drive the vehicle? Well, the best description is gently. You'll notice these days when you purchase a set of brake pads, there's not a lot of instructions with them. So what I'm going to do is explain some of what the problems are if you're hard on the brakes straight away and what can happen. So like running in an engine, running in anything, gently is best, but not for too long, because you know, everything's different. Engines are different. Sometimes you got to give them, you got to vary the revs. You got to give them a little bit here or there type thing. So with brakes, let's just stick to brakes. That's what we're talking about here. The problem you've got is, as much as the disc rotors are brand new and a flat surface, and the pads are brand new and a flat surface, they're not 100% flat. And when you think of that, let's say approximately 10 millimeters of thickness of the meat of the brake pad, and it can last 100,000 kilometers. That should paint you a picture of just how long it's going to be before that surface can wear down and cover 100% of the pad surface from the inner to the outer, if that makes sense, right? So basically, at the start, perhaps you're only getting 50% contact. It's going to vary. Some pads more, some pads less, depends on the quality of the finish, the manufacturing of the pads, right? So if you start driving the vehicle hard before that's happened, you can get a lot of heat in one area, like, right near the center of the pad, through the center of the rotor. It's probably not going to cause you any issues. It all depends on what pads you're using. There's a lot of variables, but the way to avoid it is understand it's going to take a very long time for those pads to actually bed in. And bed it in, as far as I'm concerned, is once they're making full 100% contact at each side of the pad. So all the way across from the inner to the outer. So what you want to do is, you want to get out, and it doesn't really matter, but you want to use your brakes lightly, okay? Now when I say lightly, you might just drive out, obviously test your brakes straight away, test them from two trucks doing illegal turns in front of us today. This is because of the bad design of the area here, but that's another story off topic. Basically, 20 k's an hour, apply the brakes, drive. The key thing is that you want to drive far enough in between brake applications to cool the brakes down again. Because if you just keep braking, you're just going to generate heaps of heat. You're going to get that smell where you're cooking the brake pads. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world either, but you want to try and avoid that if you can. So what I like to do, the old bedding in procedure that used to come with Bendix pads was pretty accurate, and they would be, 20 k's an hour, and then come to a stop and then drive 200 meters. This could be wrong, I'm just making it up. Then 40 k's an hour, apply the brakes, come to a stop, and then drive a couple hundred meters for it to cool down, half a k, whatever, and then 60 k's, and then build it up from there. That's not bad. That's not a bad way to be, but depending again on that finish on the pads and the rotors, and if everything's square, and what make and model of vehicle, and if you've got problems or playing the bearings and all these variables, it can take longer than that for those pads to actually bed in and be fully seated. The pads from the inner to the outer edge, the whole 100% of the surface, and front to rear as well. So you've just not got the inner to the outer, you've got the front to the rear of the pad. Obviously checking calipers. We'll have some more brake replacement videos where we're checking calipers, pistons and stuff like that, so subscribe, turn the bell on. But I just wanted to get you thinking outside the square on the brakes, right? Now, to be honest, I don't really care if you drive out and you drive straight up to 80 kilometers an hour and apply the brakes down to 40 kilometers an hour, because it's going to do the same thing. It's going to keep airflow, it's going to keep things cooling. So personally, my recommendation is based on common sense, or more to the point, uncommon sense, right? This is uncommon sense, what we're talking about here, okay? The uncommon sense, the things people don't talk about. Getting you to think about those surfaces and how long it's going to be before that whole surface, 10 millimeters, that means if 10 millimeters lasts 100,000 k's, that means 1 millimeter lasts 10,000 k's. That means 0.1 of a millimeter for 1,000 k's. So to wear 0.1 of a millimeter, it could be 1,000 k bedding in process. Depends on the quality of the pads. I just said it how many times in the video. We're going to repeat things a few times, really get in your head. I tell you what, did you know this? You only retain 10% of what you read and 10% of what you hear. So you need to read or listen to things a few times to get most of it. You still won't get all of it. To get most of it, 3 times is a good option. So my videos, you watch or listen 3 times. You could be driving to work like I'm driving right now. You can just listen. You don't need to look at anything, unless you want a bit of scenery. Not the best scenery around here, we just picked up a engine crane, blah, blah, blah. We're just cruising up here. Anyway, doesn't matter what we're doing. It's none of your business. Right? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we've just done some brake replacement videos, and I just wanted to give you a bit of a bedding in procedure. So cruise out, take it slow. I don't care, 20, 30, 40, 50 Ks. Rather not come all the way to a stop, not quite to a stop. Keep the vehicle moving. Don't drive somewhere where you're going to get caught up in traffic where you've just been applying the brakes. So out on the open road like this. That's why I thought this was a good idea. I'm not going to jam the brakes on now, but you can take a side road, like where that Prado was just up at the corner there. If we turn down there, mate, we can cruise, we can apply. You could be doing 80 Ks, apply the brakes down to 60. Accelerate again, let it cool for a couple hundred metres, apply the brakes down to 60. At the end of the day, the bedding in is wearing the brake pads down till they make 100% surface contact. And by the time they do that, everything's seasoned in and happy, and it's just going to be how it is. And some people are going, oh, you don't even need to bed. Whatever, right? I don't care. Like I said, uncommon sense is what we're using, because I don't care what they said about their brake pads and what they need or not. I'm telling you what it needs, and it needs to have 100% surface contact. And if you've got 50% and you use the brakes really hard, you're going to get some nice burn marks around the middle of your rotor. Who knows what I mean? You can put in the comments, yeah, I didn't know that. I wish I saw this video before I did mine and all that. Pumping the brakes and driving hard for 5 or 10 or 20 minutes isn't necessarily going to get that surface contact there, right? It's not necessarily going to happen. It's going to take longer than that sometimes, all right? So we're going to drive on these horsepower pads and rotors from LSI Auto, and I'm going to give you a genuine review. We've been used to driving on the Bendix. We're going to be driving on the LSI. I'm pretty confident, 99.999%, use that horsepower rotors, because rotors are rotors and they do look good quality, and they got that water-based geomet coating, awesome. So I've got no issues with that. Whether the pads are going to last, whether the pads are going to be dusty, whether the pads are going to be noisy, whether the pads are going to have a good pedal feel, whether the pads are going to get brake fade from too much heat, blah, 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 all these sorts of things from normal use. Water crossings, we will let you know, okay? We will let you know what happens, the outcome of the pads on this vehicle. We're also going to run the genuine pads on these LSI rotors, the horsepower rotors from LSI in the Prado, and we will let you know. But see how I come up here? I've kept the car moving, right? I didn't come to an absolute stop because I don't want the heat to be concentrated in one spot. And while we're talking about it, bedding in brakes and the use of brakes is an ongoing thing, just like the use of the vehicle, the engine, the transmission. Everything's forever bedding in or running in, if you like. It's always wearing. You should always warm it up, look after it. And it's the same with your brakes. If you race around and then you come to a sudden stop because that's how you drive, you're always in a bit of a hurry and you need to hit the, race up to the lights and hit the brakes because you haven't watched my fuel economy and how to save your car and make it last longer videos. See what I did? I got no one around. I used to use the whole road. I'm a taxpayer, pay plenty of taxes on the fuel, the excise. I paid for the whole road. I will use the whole road. Saves tyres, saves brakes, saves the environment, saves fuel, saves suspension bushes. Should I even just keep going on, right? Here we go. We see an orange light up there in the distance. I'm lightly applying the brakes because I'd rather just pump them just lightly, get it slowing down before I try and avoid coming to an absolute stop. Now, I haven't braked heavily, but if you have braked heavily, it's even more important that you do this, because when you come to a stop and you hold your foot on that brake pedal hard and it concentrates all that heat to one spot in the rotor, that is what can contribute to warping rotors. Once again, we didn't come to a complete stop. May or may not look like it in the video. Video's a bit hard for you to judge how close I am to people, how far left or right I am. I understand, I see that myself. When I watch the videos, I go, you people have got no idea. So don't bother commenting about my driving, where I am. Even if you think I'm sitting in the right lane, there could be someone in the left lane that I've gone past that they've sped up. They're sitting in my blind spot. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to speed? Or should I slow down and let them go? And then you slow down, they slow down. So you let me worry about driving. I know how to drive. I'm here to make it easy as possible for everyone, so people could please use their cruise control. But back onto we'll just finish up on the bedding in brakes, right? So the best way is to not come to an absolute stop, you want to get some wear onto the brake pads, not too quickly, just general use without cooking them, okay? So we want to get them to bed in so we've got 100% contact without cooking them. It's as simple as that, right? But understand the fact of the matter is it could take hundreds of Ks or thousands of Ks, and I think that was even in the paperwork with a lot of brake pad suppliers like Bendix years ago. You know, the process can take even a couple hundred kilometres. So don't think after you've done your 5 or 10 minute drive that it's all bedded in and then you start, because people have got new brakes, they like to test their brakes, they like to push the pedal hard, they really want to test it. You know what I mean? That's not what you want to do. You want to, it's kind of avoid using your brakes. You're going to be better off on your brakes, your tyres, your fuel economy, all those usual things, the longevity of the vehicle if you care about it. If you drive like you want to, you know, conserve brakes, you're going to conserve a lot of things. So drive like you've got no brakes, you know, I mean, to an extent, you know, let's not get crazy here. Anyway, guys, let's wrap it up. That's about brake bedding in procedure. The last thing I want to say, in case you missed it, so LSI, that's the mob who's been selling the genuine oil filters cheap on eBay for many years. That's where we've been buying our oil filters from. We've told people about it a number of times. A lot of people missed it. A lot of people still using aftermarket where they pay more for it. So we're here to help people out. We just want to tell you about the quality products at the right price. That's what it's all about. So I contacted LSI. I asked for a discount for everyone. They've given us the discount code 4B4, just how you spell the number 4, not 4X4. F-O-U-R-B-Y, number 4, like the YouTube channels, right? 4B4-2023, you'll get about 5% off, I believe, right? They've been really good. They supplied us with a couple of free sets of brakes for our gathering, one for the Prado, one for the Hilux, plus 4 $50 vouchers. They dispatch stuff really quickly. I highly recommend you getting your oil filters there, your disc rotors there, maybe your pads. I'll let you know, first time I'm driving on them now, they don't seem bad at the moment, but it's going to take hundreds of kilometres and thousands of kilometres. We will give you some feedback. You just need to subscribe, have the bell on for when that video comes through, and preferably probably be on our Facebook pages. If you haven't found Oz Prado Crew because you're not in Australia, or Oz Hilux Crew because you're not in Australia, YouTube channel 4B4 Diesel, same as the Facebook group, same as the YouTube channel 4B4 Diesel, same name. Just get into that one. But of course, if you're in Australia, you're probably better off in Oz Prado Crew and Oz Hilux Crew because it's more specific to the Prado and the Hilux and the people in Australia. 4B4 Diesel was designed so we can get anybody with a 4B4 or a diesel into that group so we can help them out or help each other out as a community, because isn't it an awesome community? Anyway, discounts, quality products, value for money, and a little bonus tip, speed cameras. Watch out, there's all these speed, this detection, that detection, detect your technology. So just beware of that. Bada bing, bada boom, and that's a video. That's bedding in brakes with a lot of waffle and a lot of ramble. Hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments any feedback you've got, and we'll probably have some more brake videos soon because we've got to do the 120. But like I said, could be a delay. If videos don't come out, if you get a night off, because that's why I'm having a night off, that means go search our other videos because there's plenty there that you haven't seen. So it's time for you to make it up when I'm making it up. Alright, see you guys. Thanks for watching. Ciao.